Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me. Before we get started with today's project, you'll find a description of all the product I use and all the dimensions below. Also, you'll find a link to my online store. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. You'll find my email address and a link to our Facebook group, which we'd love to have you join. And finally, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video and help me grow in YouTube world. And if you ring the little bell, you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. So today we're going to be working with the Seaside Bay and Friends Are Like Seashells. Now this is out of the mini catalog and this is out of the annual catalog, but they go together so beautifully. So let me show you what we're going to be making. Side. We are making this very cute card. It is embossed. It says, "You are a pearl, rare and precious." And inside my little oyster shell is a little pearl. This is a column card. And on the back, it says, "Friends are like shells. You collect them along the way." And this is all embossed as well. Folds down like this and goes into our nice little envelope. So to get started with this card, first we're going to do all of our, I'm going to set this somewhere out of the way. First, we're going to get all of our stamping and embossing done. So I think we'll go ahead and start with our envelope. I've got a couple pieces here and we'll go over all the dimensions as we go through the card. So first I want to do, this is Coastal Cabana, and this is one of our little seashells. You could use any shell you want on the front. It's a little conch shell, and that is for the front of our envelope. There's also another reason is I want to do this first, is I want to use this particular block. So if you excuse me for one moment, I'm going to clean this stamp off as we are done with it, and grab my block. So that's Coastal Cabana for the moment. Everything else is going to be embossed. So you need one piece of white that is 5 1/4 by 4. And then you need one piece that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay. And we are going to get our little embossing buddy out here real quick. Give them a good run because we have an east wind blowing again, and which means there's lots of static. And I've got my Versamark out, and I am just going to tap these off a little bit, make sure I don't have too much extra powder there. I'm going to get my stamp and mat. Some of what I'm stamping requires the mat and some does not. So we're going to work on the front first, and that has got the Versamark, and we're going to stamp this one up in this corner here. And then these are the seashells. We're going to stamp them right here. Nice. I'm going to go ahead and just put these in my embossing powder really quickly. And it's just a container I keep my gold embossing powder in it because I use so much of it. I find it just a little easier. Just get a little flick. That looks so. I can use a little more up here in the corner. Let's see if that works. Yeah. So I'm just going to gently set this aside somewhere safe. Set this to the side, and we're going to go ahead and stamp the next pieces here. And this one, we do need the mat for part of it. First part is these shells again. We're going to stamp those down towards the bottom. Then we're going to grab the mat and keep mindful where you've already stamped. And this is friends are like seashells. You collect them on the lake. You could use any verse you wanted in these, but I like this one. I'm gonna put this towards the top. And normally they are not black. Photopolymer is not meant to be used with StazOn, but a particular project I was using needed me to use StazOn. And so that's what happens to your stamp. It works still perfectly fine, but it is black. And then I have a starfish. I'm going to put it in this corner. And a lovely sand dollar for this corner. Close that up. Lift this. Move my mat out of the way. Grab this and kick it all down this way. I'm going to sort of set this inside and create a little waterfall here with some gold embossing powder. Got a little piece there I don't want. If you can see it, I think right there. I didn't bring a brush, but I have that, so that will work. So that's ready to be embossed now. So get this covered up and out of my way. And I'm going to wipe this off really quickly because I don't want embossing fluid all over my office. I'm going to grab my heat gun, so everybody adjust your volume accordingly. And we will watch the magic. The heat setting is done. So now we need to add some color to these. Move a few of these out of my way here. So I grabbed a couple small blocks. 2 of these items we're going to be using stamping blends on, but the little ones down here we are going to be actually using ink from our ink pads and blender pins. This is just old packaging. They're old pins, but they all still work. I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper in here. And I'm going to grab my ink. I'm going to grab just a touch of Balmy Blue. Don't need much. This is Petal Pink, which I'm going to grab just a little bit on one side here. And Coastal Cabana. Just a little bit on one corner. Like I said, we don't need much. We're not coloring a whole lot of stuff. And let me see if I can scoot this in a little bit. So first, you just take your end of your brush, make sure there's nothing on it. And I just grabbed the Petal Pink here. I'll move it so you can see where I went. I'm just getting a little ink on the end of my brush. And I'm going to make this one pink on here. And then I think I will make this one pink on this side. I'm going right over the embossing. I'll show you what we're going to do in just a second. Don't rub your fingers or hands into that though. Okay, so I'm going to take and brush this off till it goes clear. Okay, next I'm going to grab the Balmy Blue. Now you could use Stampin' Write markers if you had them. You could use blends to do this too. I just wanted to show you another way of using these. I'll make this one Balmy Blue. Clean off again. They're magical pins. I do not know what's in them. I'd love to know, but they work beautifully. You can use them for watercoloring too with your watercolor pencils. You could use watercolor pencils. This is Coastal Cabana. Just like that. Once again, I'm going to come in here and clean this off. Make sure the tip is stained, but as you can see, it's all gone. Ready for the next use. We'll clean those all off. Those blocks, I'll just take and clean them off and put them in. And then we are going to color our, set this one right here for a second. We're going to color with some blends. And I'm going to do this one yellow. You know, sand dollars, I've seen it in all colors. I've seen yellow and green and purple. They come in, a lot depends on the organism that's living in them as to what color they are and the sea and ocean around them. And then this one, this starfish, we are going to make him Flirty Flamingo. I think it's Flirty, yeah, Flirty Flamingo. And same thing, they all come in different colors. So you can make them any color you want. So now I've used that embossing. You need to grab a tissue, a little piece of paper. I'm going to use a little paper towel. You want to come across that and just don't rub across, just sort of, you know, rub across, but don't rub this way. Because what you want to do is make sure there's no ink on top of what you're working on, because it sits on top sometimes. And a little bit come off. So that is our stamping. So we have a little die cutting to do with this project as well. Set those out of my way, because we need to make our seashell that goes on the front. And what I have is a little scrap of Petal Pink. And in the Seaside Bay is the stamp or die here. Could move this back a little bit so you don't feel like you're being shoved in the face here. I'm going to put him on here and cut him out. This is the only die cutting on this card. So if you didn't have the dies, you could do something else. You could just use the pearl on the front somewhere. But there's our die cut. Get rid of our machine. Okay, and bring my piece of paper back in and my Flirty Flamingo or Petal Pink. This has folds. Let me get this closed back in here again. You see on this, it has the fold lines right here, little score lines. So if you score them, it makes like a little pocket for your pearl to go in. So we won't see the back of it. We will see the front, and we will see this side. So we want to put a little bit of, and I want the Petal Pink to help show off the embossing. Just adds a different look to it, and it helps show off. And it also looks a little worn, like it's, you know, been in the water. And then I'm going to do just a little bit, not as much. I just want to put a little bit. You can see some of the texture there, and a little bit in here. Not where you get pretty more ink. Oop, bent a little bit. That's fine. Just to give it a little extra, so it makes it show up a little better. Okay, so we'll set that aside. And I think it's time to build the card. So I have lots of pieces here. The base of the card is 9.5 by 4 1/4. There's also another piece that is 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. And then we'll go over all the DSP in a little bit. So you either need a scoreboard or your trimmer. I'm going to go ahead and do this on my trimmer to move a few things. Like I said, every time I sit and do this, my desk gets smaller and smaller. So we're going to score this large one on the 9.5-inch side. And we are going to score at 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's the scoring on that one. And then on the 4 3/4 by 3 1/4 piece, we are going to be scoring at 3 1/4, and 4 1/4. And we are done scoring. So we are going to go ahead and fold and burnish. Oh, I didn't say that this is Coastal Cabana. It is the same color as the other one. I decided not to switch colors because I really liked how this card looked. Now, this end piece, this one, it will close much nicer if you just come in here and just snip ever so slightly, just a small smidgen off of it. It will close much nicer. So I like to, this card's going to fold up like this, okay? I like to put my DSP on first, so you're going to be putting DSP on 3 inside panels here. Come in a little closer. So let's grab the DSP now. This is By the Bay DSP. It's a 6x6 pack. And you need 3 pieces that are 3 1/4 by 4 inches. This is the one that has the iridescent shells on the back, but I wanted the blues. And grab a little bit of glue here. Grab my mat. It is easier to put, this particular card is easier to put on mats as you go. And you'll see what I mean with that little, take that little piece off in a minute. So when you see it close it up, there won't be any buckling. So yes, the chimes are ringing again. I'm filming this a few days before it airs. And it's hard to believe it was 66 degrees yesterday. And by tomorrow we have a chance of snow. And there's a storm coming in and it's windy. So what fun. So those 3 panels, so you have the large panel and the small one here. Okay? Then we're going to go ahead and fold this in. So the easiest way to do this is to fold it this way. So you got 2 laying down, this here. You see where this is, just by removing that little bit of piece here, you're not butting up right against that score line. And I ran into that on the last one. I forgot to take that off. And it just makes a little buckle when you do it. So taking that off makes it close easier. And I'm going to add my adhesive only on this and make sure it won't come out the top. And then you're going to fold this over. smooth that out. Give a little rub. And then I like to bring it back and rub it this way. And I'll take my bone folder and crease that again. So this way you have no buckling when it closes. Let's see if you can see the buckling. See this one, how it doesn't want to close completely flat? I forgot to cut that piece out. And that's what that piece does. It allows it to close. Okay, now we need to put this piece on. And this piece is 4 1/4 by 4. And it's going to go on just like this. You can make your swirls go any way you want, but I like them going like that. This does have 1/4 inch borders on it. This is such beautiful paper. I love that paper. And this has all of the colors that I used on the stamping. So we've got the gold embossing, Balmy Blue, Coastal Cabana, and the Petal Pink. All right, now we have this small piece here. And we're going to go ahead and put the pieces on it before we attach. First, we have one little piece that is 3 1/4 by 3. And this is the wood grain paper. And if you are using the wood grain paper, make sure that you have the wood grain going both directions. As this one's going vertically, we don't want to put this one on horizontally. We want it to be vertical. And love the glue, but it slides sometimes when you don't want it to. Okay, now when we look at this little piece here, we're going to put a piece of tear and tape. You can use glue if you want. I find the tear and tape much easier to attach this. But you want to fiddle with the glue, you can. So what's going to happen is this is going to fold like this. This is going to go about 3/4 of an inch here and here, and about halfway across here, and sit just like that. So I'm going to put and you can use tear and tape on this side too, but you want about that much glue, not much. And get this centered right in the middle of your card. And you need to hold this here for a second, and I found the easiest way is doing this way. Just give it a second before we start moving this. Okay, so you know it wants to sit just like that. So if you close it just like this, I'm going to put my finger where the tape is. It will open in the exact right spot. So what you want to do is pull off your tape. This is why I said tape is easier than glue. You want to fold this all the way back in. So it's folded back this way. Fold this down all the way and press. And then when you open it, it stands up like this. Okay, so let's decorate the card. First, we have our one for the back. I got some glue there. We'll come back to that and I'll show you how to fix that in just a moment. Had some glue on my fingers. Let's let that sit for just a second here while I grab something. I thought I had one. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I'm looking for my little glue eraser. These are great little tools. You can buy like a pack of 12 of them off Amazon, really cheap. But if you get a little glue where you don't want it, let it dry for a second. And say goodbye to the glue spot, okay? Now the front. We're going to put this on here. And I'm actually going to, the first one I popped up, I'm going to pop this one up as well. You don't have to. You could just glue it flat. I'm putting a few extra in the middle on this one because it was heat embossed. And it tends to want to warp the paper just slightly. I probably should have used the heavy cardstock on this, but I didn't. Just close this up and center this in the middle of the wood. Like that. And now we need our pearl. So what I'm going to do is just put a little glue on the back here. And I wanted it sort of centered in the middle here at an angle. Hold that in place for just a second. Now we need our pearl. And these are the flat back adhesive pearls. And I'm going to take a great big pearl and put it right in the middle. And that is our card. And once it's been in the envelope for a while, that'll close down and won't stick up as much. But I think it's sort of cute when they open it, it'll pop right open. It stands like this for display. Write a little more on here. So that is our little seashell card. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to give me a thumbs up, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I really appreciate all of you helping me out in YouTube world, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will see you next time. Have a good day, and thank you.